Good morning, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Wanted to talk to everybody today about this freedom issue and how to go about it. Now, I've been studying this stuff for about 4 years straight now in regards to my own situation, specifically because I realized that I have a right to travel as opposed to a privilege to drive. And so I went out and I got private property placards for 64 cents a piece at a local hardware store and put a pair on my truck and on my car. Now, at the time, I still had a driver license, which has subsequently been suspended throughout my course of research here. And most of you know my story. I got pulled over, and actually I got pulled over several times first without any issue with the plate or the signs on the cars that I was driving or traveling in. And was only issued seatbelt tickets, speeding tickets, and no insurance tickets. But I signed them all UCC 1-308. And this all occurred over a period of about 3.5, 4 years. And those incidences, interactions that I had with local policy enforcers also included, let's see, there was an assault charge, there was a interference with official acts, disorderly conduct, couple dog citations, and I signed them all UCC 1-308 and then just never showed up in court. And then I was pulled over by a county sheriff and went through my trial and everything. It took me about 4 months in trial, and in that trial I was belligerent. I was calling them all kinds of names, fingering them. I asserted that they are communists by definition, according to the 81st Congress in 1950, where the Congress investigated the Lawyers Guild and determined by definition that all members of the Foreign Bar Association are communists. And I have no fear in putting information out that is truthful and that is recorded. And so that's the information I put out. When I put this information out, it's in regards to my own research. It's not to affect anybody else except for them to read and comprehend themselves. And the point I want to get here is that at the point I'm at now, I've got a lot of you people that are asking me for help, but you're asking for the help at the wrong time. You can't hop on my messenger and ask me what to do about court the next morning because I have no way of telling you how to deal with your particular situation. As I've told people many times, my truth is my truth, and it does not belong to you. It is not true for you. The research that I do for my case and my situation, my life, is not for you. It is for me. Now, it can be used in your situation, but you have to, like I said, have to do your own research and come to a cognizance of that research yourself. If you do your research and you can't cognize it, you're not going to be very successful. You're going to have help. And that's why you need to establish PMAs and stuff. That's why you have to establish your estates and trusts. That stuff is automatic. But when it comes to these policy enforcers and having interactions with them, that's the fraud. And that's where we need to educate ourselves on the particular situations that we end up in. We have to be able to discern for ourselves what is actually occurring. And then if we try to portray that to somebody else, we have to be very accurate if we want somebody else's help. And this is another reason why no lawyer or attorney can help you in court, is because even if they did know the information, it's very likely that it could be misconveyed or misconstrued. And this is the importance of "in beginning was Word." When you sit down with people and you have Socratic discussions, they are not debates, they are not arguments, they are not presumptions, they are not assumptions, they're not implications. They're just opinions that are discussed in a logical and rational manner, without the emotions, and just based purely on facts and truths. And so when you end up in these interactions with these police or policy enforcers, you can't go asking somebody for help at that time. You have to start fixing your shit now. You have to start educating yourself now. And when you get done educating yourself, or while you're educating yourself, like I do my best to educate others, educate your children. Get them out of these fucking public indoctrination systems. That is not a requirement. You registered. And that no registration is ever a requirement, period. Register is to put something on a register. Now, if you want to register something, you register the event, the time, and descriptors of when your familia is born, is communed, is baptized, is associated, obtains a companion, and you register those in your private books. Then when these policy enforcers try to play their games, you've already got your shit registered, and it goes to first in time, first in line. So in these registers, I highly suggest that you start, again, like I said, research. Be cognizant of this information and use it in your own books. You are the keeper of records. You are your own registrar. You are your own judge. You are your own postmaster. You are your own clerk of courts. You are supposed to be managing your own prosperity and abundance, not somebody else's books, registers, and profits and deficits. Period. And if you're gonna continue on in this stuff, you have to behave like a man until you get the shit corrected, and perform as an actor in person under their codes, regulations, policies, and stuff, until you get that correct, or you're going to end up in the same position I did, in the same position that I'm telling you about now. Don't come to me the day you get arrested. Don't come to me the day you get bonded. I can't help you. It's very difficult, and people like myself trying to help others in situations like this can get drawn into it and get in trouble ourselves. We have to be very cognizant of the associations that we develop in this research. And so I suggest highly, everybody, no matter who it is, express the information. Spread the information. Educate others. I have many people that have disassociated with me because they refuse to learn. But that's the only way we're going to find people that are willing to learn and be able to educate them and learn from them ourselves. It's not a one-way street, people. This is a two-way street. I'm still learning and I'm still educating. And like I expressed yesterday to somebody, or actually this morning it was, I learn a lot of things from people coming to me with questions. I look at their questions, I look at the words they use, and how it's constructed, comments, And I try my best to discern what they're actually saying, what they're actually intending to say, and what they hope to get out of it. That's a lot to deal with, even in small one-sentence statements. And so when we look at all these laws, rules, regulations, codes, acts, edicts, whatever, and we see that there's over 8 million of them, that's a lot to be misconstrued. That's a lot to be misconveyed. And when you're doing it third party and all that, it leaves even more room for ambiguity. And that's the whole problem. I can't possibly help you now for something that you're already involved in unless you help yourself first. You have to start educating yourself first on what is your own personal authority. And I know if I ever talk to my mom again, she's going to hate the fact that I put this out there and I get upset about it. But I couldn't believe how idiotic my mother sounded when she looked me in the eye at 50 years old and told me, "Keith, the police are your authority." Well, I have a hard time understanding that for several reasons. I was brought up and educated in religion in many of the foster homes I was in, and then when I was finally adopted, I was that religious education was continued, and that's where I learned who my authority is, or what my authority is. And then, of course, throughout my regular supposed education through the school system, I realized various different forms of authority, whether it be the school teacher in class. And then when you go from math class to reading class, that's a different jurisdiction, so now you have a different authority. And of course you all have the same authority under that same building, which is the principal, who holds another jurisdiction in the school administration. And so when I started educating myself on this stuff and realizing it, I understood that when I become an adult, then I become my own authority, but that authority is granted only under Genesis 17, verse 1. I am Almighty God. So long as you follow my way, thou shalt be blameless. And that's the only way you can carry authority, is in truth. All these regulations, rules, acts, edicts, proclamations, declarations, whatever, I care not. They're not the true word. In the beginning was Word. And it didn't have to be written down. We could speak to each other Socratically, logically, rationally, without the emotion. And so when you come to people like myself that have been doing this for a little bit and enforcing it, and you see our successes, don't take our successes as yours, because it can't be. You have to do your own research, and you have to do it now, before you have those interactions. I watched a video this morning, and it was just so idiotic. They're talking about this Eric Garner and protesting in New York for Eric Garner and trying to assert their rights. But you cannot assert your rights by infringing on other people's rights by blocking the roadways. That is not protesting. That is violating other people's rights. And if you can't understand that, then you need to do more research. Quit doing this stupid shit. You have to understand. Granted, I understand that Eric Garner was murdered. But that doesn't give me any right to go out and murder anybody else. And granted, the Bible says eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but it also says thou shalt not murder. So when somebody does murder, what's the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth? It's indentured servant. You make them a part of your association, and you make them follow your rules. That's how that works. And if they refuse to follow the rules, then you cast them out. He cast the tax collectors out. He kicked them right out of the temple, flipping their tables. That's what we need to do now. So understand, if you want to help in this and you really want to have your freedom, free dominion, you have to know what you are. You're not a who. The person is the who. The person is a noun. It is a descriptor of the what. And what is a what? A what is something that exists. It exists in reality. What is this out in front of me? It's a sidewalk. It exists. It doesn't live, but it is part of life. The paper exists, and it is part of life. The words exist, and they are part of life. But when you write them down on paper and impose that everybody else has to follow those words, that's impossible. Like I said, it can be misconveyed, misconstrued, and third-party intervening causes even more ambiguity. So understand, you need to start doing your research. If you're seeking things, seeking ye shall find. If you don't find it the first time, research. Re-ask. He says, ask and ye shall receive. He doesn't say what to ask. He doesn't say how to ask. That's supposed to be logical and rational. When you get all involved emotionally because they're taking your children away, and I understand it. I've been on both sides of that fence. I was ripped from my parents' arms, and I've had children ripped from my arms. My sons died. I had a son died on me because of SIDS. So I understand the SIDS and the autism and all that from vaccines. I've done my research. And I'm getting better. And I'm enforcing my authority more and more. Now I'm in a new area, and I'm going to be enforcing it, but I'm hoping I'll be able to do a much better job. I have a better support program here with just 2 other fellow men. Back where I come from, like I said, my own mom and dad called me a lunatic. Told me to change my last name. I don't need to change my last name. It's not my name. It's a descriptor for other people to use. That's all. And like I said, if you want to call me an asshole, go ahead. I have no problem with it. I'm going to look you dead in the eye and tell you, hey, listen, I'm not an asshole. I'm the whole ass. Because I'll correct you every time. I live in truth now. Period. Granted, there was a time where I didn't. I was confused. I was going down the same path as my brother who's doing a life in California for murder. I don't want that life. I want a life of peace and love, prosperity and abundance. And if you want the same thing, you have to ask. You have to understand in your own mind. You can't take somebody else's understanding and use it as your own. Period. So please, start correcting your shit now, before you have the interactions with the policy enforcers. And one bit of information I'll give everybody, anytime you end up in court, everybody hears this thing about questioning jurisdiction. This is the most valid thing I can tell you to help you, and it's the last time I'm going to help anybody with any of these court things unless it's a personal or private interaction face to face. So I can look at your paperwork and discern exactly what's going on and go from there. But until then, Title 22 of the Code of Federal Regulations, 93.1 and 93.2. This is the entire basis of all assertions of jurisdiction. Period. United States is the mother corporation. The mother corporation has to have diplomatic notice that somebody has filed a suit against one of their residents. Okay? That's the 14th Amendment as a dual citizen, national and state. Okay? So when the state brings a charge against you, they're bringing it against the 14th Amendment dual personality, and they're not noticing the second person. They have to give the United States notice because they are themselves dependent. It's all on the Social Security Act with the Title IV defunding, and they are all dependent upon prosecuting that case for that funding, because you are going to be fined, and you, through your cognitive dissonance, are going to pay those fines to the state. And then the state is going to deposit those into that Title IV defunding program, which is the Public Charitable Trust. Title 31 of the United States Code, subsection 1321. Subsection 73. Read that. Read Title 22 of the Code of Federal Regulations, 92 or 93.1 and 93.2. 93.2 says that they have to provide proof on and for the record that the person they are filing a suit against is a corporate entity. That is the only one they can file a suit against, is a corporate entity. If you do not understand that, you will not get it ever. You are not a corporate entity. You are a live flesh being. Live flesh creature of your creation. Land, air, and water. And if you don't understand that, you'll never understand it. It's that simple. Read Title 22 of the Code of Federal Regulations, 93.1 and 93.2. And you will see they have to give notice to the mother corporation that they are filing suit as a foreign corporation known as a state, and they are filing a suit against a United States citizen. Dual United States and state citizen. In order to get that federal funding for Title 4D. Once they deposit the funds in that trust, then the federal government matches that. I can't help you any other way. I cannot. All I can do is put out information and hope you understand it. So please, understand, you need to read Title 22 of the Code of Federal Regulations, sections 93.1 and 93.2, wherein they have to give diplomatic notice to the United States, and then the United States has to give the United States citizen notice that a state has filed suit against them. Without that, they don't have jurisdiction. 93.2 states that they have to have proof that the person they have filed suit against is a corporate entity. If they do not do that, they do not have jurisdiction. Plain and simple. Period. In any case, ever. All crimes are commercial. You are not commercial. The birth certificate is. If you do not wish to agree with a cooperative agreement then there is no co-partner to operate that agreement. So think about this stuff, people, and I hope you get out there and start learning yourself, educating yourself, because I can't do it. I can only present the information according to my truth. According to their truth, the very simplest resolution is Title 22 of the Code of Federal Regulations 93.1 and 93.2. You use that in your questioning jurisdiction and stick to it. Do not wander from it. In Genesis 17, verse 1, I am Almighty God. As long as ye follow my way, ye shall be blameless. Period. It's that simple. If you can understand that simple concept, everything else will fall in line as long as you do your research. I assure you. Anyway, you can keep asking me, and all I can do is point you in the right direction. I can't do it for you. I can tell you what you need to research according to the information you give me, but again, that may be misconstrued or misconveyed because I don't know your situation. I don't know your truth. You have to know what's true for you. And if you think the Constitution applies to you, understand the United States Constitution is a private membership association with all 50 states as part of that membership. Each state has their own constitution, and that is also a private membership association, and all the citizens thereof are considered members. Okay? So now you're a member of two private member associations, and those associations are private membership associations under the IMF. Think about this stuff, people. You need to develop your own estates, your own trusts, your own PMAs, and say, fuck you. It don't apply to me. I'm not a person. I'm not a corporate entity. I do not wish to have your diplomatic immunity, for I am already blameless. Who shall subvert the word of God? But those that believe the pen is mightier than the sword and use it as such. The sword. You know, the S word. Signature. So think about that every time you sign a paper. Some codes are positive. Well, that makes no difference. It's not a positive law. That's just another misconstrued, ambiguous term. Positive law? Well, what's the negative law then? If they have a positive law, show me the negative law. How can you call it a positive law if there's no negative to it? So think about this stuff, people. Estate trust is where it's at. That estate trust better be developed as a private membership association, and you better have a register. You better have your rules and regulations, your quote bylaws. You better have your intent listed. It better be a peaceful intent, but asserting that you will enforce. Because you don't have to be at war. Everybody that's out here under these laws, rules, and regulations is claiming to be at war. It's all martial law. The Constitution, state constitutions, it's all martial law. That's why they hold that flag up in the courtroom. And just for your information, that flag isn't even registered. So think about this stuff, people, and start educating yourself. You really need to get back to the real things in life. Like gathering sustenance. You saw some of my picture the other day. I posted a picture of a squirrel. We got some chickens running around here. As you see, they're helping with the bugs and stuff. Those there, them's freely gathered pecans. And I'm telling you what, There's all kinds of gathering you can do in this world. And in order to get to this kind of gathering, you got to start gathering shit up here. And in order to gather the right shit up here, you got to get rid of all the fear up here so you can put the knowledge in there. That way you can walk into these courts and you don't need documentation. You walk into the court and all of a sudden they see your face and they recognize you, yourself, not some name on a piece of paper. Because I assure you, they don't want me in that courthouse back where I came from anymore. They keep asserting that. And every time I walk in there, they want to know why I'm in there. They ain't got no case on me in there. Why are you here? Oh, I just got to check something. Hey, you got one of them invoices for me to send to the IRS again? So think about this stuff, people. All your 1099 OID and all that, that's a lot of education. And you can do it if you want. But I highly suggest we get rid of the fraud, quit worrying about the 1099 OID for now, and educate ourselves on the right point, the right aspect of life first. And then we can properly use the 1099 OID if we fall within that jurisdiction. But right now, asserting that they don't have jurisdiction without knowing the jurisdictions or how to prove it not, don't come asking me. I just gave you the information that you can use. Now you need to educate yourself from there. Period. Plain and simple. You want to rebut their cases, you do so by questioning jurisdiction, and that jurisdiction comes from standing. They have to have standing, and the only way they have standing against a live man is in his person. We have the Fourth Amendment that supports the right to everyone being secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. But that Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to persons if you don't have a person. And I assure you, I don't have a person. I might have paperwork declaring what I am, but that ain't personal, it's private. And I'll keep it that way. You want to infringe upon that? It's going to cost you. Would you like to see my fee schedule? That'll cost you too. If you care to still look at it, have that checkbook handy and have a big bank account. Anyway, hope you guys understand this. Hope you're cognizant of it. Get out of that cognizant dissonance. And start doing your research. Start asking. Asking ye shall receive. But be honest in your asking. And remember, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. God bless y'all. I love you. Have a great day. Bye.